Good morning, Hulkamaniacs. It is me, Crazy E-double-D-I-E, Crazy Eddie's Bigger Boat Collectibles at 1400 Osborne. I'm going to remind you, if you want it, we got it. We ain't got it, we'll get it. So get it while the getting's good. I did a post yesterday, about the passing of Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne. It was sad. I was a big Hulk Hogan fan growing up. I was an Ozzy Osbourne fan growing up. So to lose both those guys in the 2 days, it was kind of rough. But it is what it is. So, anyways, if you guys are collectors of anything like that, we do got some Ozzy stuff. We do got some Hogan stuff. Like a half hour after the passing of Ozzy Osbourne, some of our Ozzy stuff started out the door. It was selling really fast. So limited on the Ozzy stuff. But the Hogan stuff, I took it down after I learned of his passing, just because some of the stuff I decided maybe I want to keep. I don't know. We'll see. I do got quite a bit of stuff, so if there is anything you're looking for, let me know, and I will check, see if I got it, and if I want to cut it loose. Hey, anyways, I did some videos in the past, whatever, and I mentioned Grail pieces. Sometimes people talk about their Grail a lot when in the collecting world. I think that a lot of people don't really understand what you mean by when you say Grail. To me, what a Grail piece is in the collecting world is something that not necessarily the most valuable toy out there or the most rare or whatever, but something that means the most to you. And it's awesome when you find your Grail. It's awesome, if you find somebody else's Grail and you're able to help them out with it, that's pretty cool too. So I'm going to show you some of mine, and some of mine happen to be from my Hulk Hogan collection. So I'll show you some of our rare pieces of Hulk Hogan. This is not all that we got. I got a huge Hulk Hogan collection, and thanks to my friend Ed Parker, I'm going to have a shirt from his bar down in Clearwater, Florida, because he happened to be down there during all of this, and he was nice enough to stop by and grab me a shirt. So shout out to Ed Parker. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. I've been meaning to try to get down there to Clearwater. We were down there in Florida, but for whatever reason did not make it over to the Hogan's Beach shop or to his bar. But he was lucky enough to be able to. Unfortunately, it was at this time, so he was already had passed. So, but he was cool enough, thank you, Ed, to go get me a shirt. So anyways, on to what I was doing. I got a lot of Hulk Hogan items here. So like I said, if you guys are interested, let me know some of the stuff I will part with. I have tons of, we have not just like action figures. I have stuff I have weird stuff. I have a shampoo bottle. I have lunch boxes. I have little like chip clips and stuff like that. I have a rookie card in the case. I have the Prism card. I have a graded poker card. Lots of Hogan stuff. I got WrestleMania 3 was probably the biggest moment in Hogan's career, one of them at least, next to winning the belt from the Iron Sheik, or wrestling The Rock at WrestleMania 18. So I am fortunate enough to have one of the programs from that event of WrestleMania 3 right there. It's not the best condition, but it's still pretty cool. Inside of this, it's got the card sheet. By that I mean it's got like the sheet that's got all the matches and everything like that on it or whatever. So that's pretty cool, and it's pretty rare, pretty sought after. Not sure if I'm going to want to part with that. Hulk Hogan back in the 80s was the first wrestler to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine, and I have that here. That's pretty cool to have that. I have comics with him on it. I have other WrestleMania programs, like this WrestleMania, I think it was 8, where he wrestled, 7, it was 8, where he wrestled Sid Vicious. That was where he was supposed to wrestle Ric Flair, but for whatever reason, they changed that and decided to have him wrestle Sid Vicious instead. So I got that one. I got some of the newer pieces and stuff like that too, like these. I have this guy. I have 2 of these. One of them is actually autographed by Hulk Hogan. That's at home in my collection at home. So I got the Real American figure. I got Jakks. I got Mattel. I got LJNs. I got Hasbro's. There's Hasbro's. Up here I got some old LJNs here. I got a mixer. I got a couple Hulk Hogan Thunder mixers, you know, still in the box. So got some cool stuff. But the best part of my collection, anyway, it's not necessarily the most sought after. I guess, I don't know. Not the most valuable. Don't know about that either. But I got a couple pieces here that I'm going to show you real quick. I sold my wrestling buddy. Kind of wish I wouldn't have, because chances now of getting another one of them in the condition of the one that I had, probably not going to happen. We'll see. But without further ado, I'll show you some of my Grail pieces. This, now, keep in mind, the package isn't the best condition like on this one. This is pretty cool. Look at that. The big... Now, the bubble is ripped right here, but still, that's still pretty cool to have that guy in the box. I also have him loose as well, but that's kind of neat to have that in the collection. So I don't know what I'm going to do, if I'm going to sell that or not. Probably not. I might sell the loose one. The one in the box I had on display at home, but maybe I'll have it on display here in the shop for a little while to, you know. Anyways, this next piece is probably my Grail piece. Like I said, it's not the most valuable, most sought after or whatever, but it's one that means the most to me. And it's because, like, back in the 80s, LJN had the license to make wrestling figures. And they took these big LJN figures like this. This is technically a prototype, because they took figures like this to Vince McMahon. Like, these are the figures LJN did. These are the figures that we want to make, but we're going to make them in 3 3/4 inch figures like this size. But Vince McMahon was like, no, keep them that size, because they're bigger. No, at the time, the only other figures out there were like, there's Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe's, Star Wars, and they were all like 3 3/4 inch up to 4 inch for the Masters of the Universe. These were bigger. So he said, we're larger than life, so we want them big like that, so keep them like that. So this is what they was actually released, was these big rubber LJN figures. And I fell in love with them back then. It was awesome. LJN ran with this for a while. They made these for a couple of years, different series, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, whatever it was. Big John Studd, Andre the Giant, Jimmy Snuka. They had the British Bulldogs. They had the Hart Foundation. And up until like 88, they ran these from like 84 to 88, I believe. And then LJN decided to stop making toys and then just focus on their video games, because they made a bunch of video games back at the time too, for like Atari and Sega and stuff. I think they made I can't remember what, the ET game, I think, was LJN. They made a couple of different video games and stuff like that. So but fortunately enough for us collectors and fans, another toy company picked up the line. It was Grand Toys, and I believe they were out of Canada. And they made another run of these figures, and some of them were called the black cards or whatever, because they were on black cards instead of blue. I wish I would have brought up an LJN figure on the card. I do got a couple, because originally they had a blue card, and I'll show you this figure I got here. I got a Big John Studd, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in the package and stuff like that. I should have brought one up to show you what they look like, but I forgot. But I do have one of the black cards here, and it's one of my favorite ones. It is the 89 Hulk Hogan LJN black card. You can't really see because of the glare. That sucks. But this is my Grail piece. They do have this on a blue card too, but there's two variants of this. One, he's got, here's a bunch of figures on the back, which you can't see because of the glare real well, I guess. I have this in a protective case. That's why the glare is so bad. I don't want to take it out, but I'll take it out. So you can see a little bit better. Okay, you can kind of see a little bit better. There's a bunch of the figures that they made. But there's different variants. And with this Hulk Hogan figure, there was a white shirt variant, which I have. I don't have it in the package, but I have it loose. I have a couple of them loose. But I got this. This one was the more rare variant, I guess, if you want to call it that. I'm going to show you some of these other LJNs that I got there. The bad thing about these LJNs is, one, they don't pose. They don't move real well. They're not articulated. They're just rubber. This is a $1 Million Man. He was made of black rubber, so when the paint chips off or whatever, he gets black rubber in there. He's got his money there. That was one of the original WWF runs, I believe. But the Warlord was one of the Grand Toys one. You can see right here, it says on the foot there. I think it was Grand Toys, WWF Superstars. Grand Toys, yeah. It says right on there, so you can kind of like, can you kind of see it, huh? But, and they also had, this is the white shirt variant of, I'll get this back in the package. Of this guy. So this is the same thing that's in there, but you can see the paint scheme's different. Red shirt, yellow trunks, red knee pads. This is the traditional colors of what Hulk Hogan wore, and this was, you know, the variant, or that's, you know, whatever. So yeah, these are some of my holy grails or whatever. Also, like, you know, collected Masters of the Universe and, you know, some of that other stuff. But I think this was my grail piece. This and the world title that my son got me for Christmas a couple years back are probably my two favorite pieces in my collection. But there's some close seconds, close thirds, you know, whatever. So, but anyways, I'm kind of running off the rails and rambling a lot. So, they are, I guess, what Colin was saying a minute ago, whatever, they're redoing some of the LJNs, I guess. The Mattel, or was it Mattel? Is doing that. They announced at Comic-Con here recently. So that'll be cool. I'll grab a couple of those. But to me, the older ones are still going to be, you know, more valuable. Personally, I'm not, you know, on a salesman standpoint, I don't know. But from a collector standpoint, these still are what I'd go for. So the old vintage ones, and you can always tell because all the date stamped on the back side here. That they're rare older ones. Like I said, some of them they didn't pose a whole lot. They just, you know, you just came in and had your little matches in the big LJN ring. They had a cage. They had all the different figures. For whatever reason, when they did this Warlord, he was in a tag team at the time, the Powers of Pain, with the Barbarian. But they never made the Barbarian because I guess Grand Toys stopped making them after the first line or whatever it was. They never got around to making Barbarian. They did the same thing with Demolition. I got an axe up there in the case, but they never made a Smash. They only made axe, so that was kind of weird. Also, some of the pictures and stuff like that, like on the back of here, you can't really see, but I mean, the paint schemes on the released figures is a little bit different than the ones that was shown. Like Ricky Steamboat, I think, in the commercial on one of the things had red and black tights, but the one that was released was all black. So some of them had accessories. Some of those accessories are really sought after, like the King Harley Race's crown, Jake Snake Roberts' snake. Hillbilly Jim had a hat. Terry Funk had a branding iron, and some of those other things. Jim Duggan, of course, had the 2x4. Some of these figures, like this one, had a belt on them. This one did not come with a belt, but this one did. Also, so did this guy. This is the original Hulk Hogan released. This is the second one that was released later on. There's also a couple different variants of Corporal Kirshner. One had a beard, one did not. One had stubble. We had a couple others that were released too. So stop by the store and check this stuff out. Hope to see you guys soon. Please follow us on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, and drop a comment and let us know what you think. Let us know if you got any of this stuff or whatever. If you want any of this stuff, if you're looking for anything, let me know in the comments. Catch you guys later.